Welcome one and all to the Síle Show. This week I'm joined by a woman who has lived about 4 different lifetimes, all before the age of 40. Influencer, former wedding band singer, substitute teacher, tractor driver, traveller and proud daughter of a farming family. We're going to be chatting with none other than the wonderfully vibrant Doireann O'Connor. You might know her from her punchy, no-filter videos, filmed from the front seat of her car, no less. Videos that have somehow managed to blend humour, honesty, and the kind of emotional whiplash that only somebody raised on a farm and a dance floor could possibly manage to deliver. Doireann is a woman who has taught in classrooms, sang at countless first dances, and has been known to rock a pair of Daisy Dukes shorts so confidently that they've practically become part of the Doireann brand. She grew up surrounded by a loving clan, mum and sister both in education, a hard-working farmer dad, brothers that she speaks so highly of it's commendable. A family who seemed to cheer louder for her than any online audience ever could. After travelling through Colombia, feeling empowered, transformed and ready to take on the world, she now famously declared online that she was back, only to realise that, and I paraphrase, nobody really seemed to care. And ironically, it was that moment that sent her viral. So today on the Síle Show, we are going to be diving into what exactly it means to be single in your 30s in Ireland. What is it like when your family becomes as well known and loved as you are through your posts? And what exactly she wants from this whirlwind world of influencing. Who influences the influencer? What fuels her creativity? And what exactly are mingles nights? What's next for Doireann O'Connor? And what does she really want out of her one wild and potentially wonderful life? So, looking as fetching as ever, the tractors are parked, the ring lights are glowing. Let's get cracking. Doireann O'Connor, the heartiest of Síle Show welcomes.
Thank you so much for having me. I am just amazed. You are a vision. I knew you were going to pull it out of the bag and you did not disappoint. You're just fabulous.
Thank you, darling. Right back at you. Had to pull out the old daisies knowing that you were coming.
They are fab. I'm blown away.
Well, Gormila, I got right back at you. Where are your daisies these days?
I know, I'm raging. I would have brought them. We could have coordinated. It could have been very special. But I've kind of swapped them for wellies now at this point, it seems. But maybe I'll bring the Daisy Dukes down the yard, or the daisies down the yard.
Maybe. Let's do it. I've seen those gorgeous poses coming up the yard and they're so unique. Jokes aside now, this is a really unique model. So tell us, you're back from travels.
Yes.
You announced to the world that you were back, but that nobody seemed to give an SH1T. And you were wondering what was next. So take it from there.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I like to say I went on my little eat, pray, love journey, Sheila. Came home, didn't have a clue what I wanted to do and still kind of don't, but knew that I just wanted a whole new experience and kind of literally just rip up everything I knew beforehand and just start again with a whole new mindset of nothing matters and nobody cares. Because I think before I went away, I would have been worried about what people would have thought of decisions or me putting myself out there. And then I went away and I had this whole new experience and I was like, oh my God, nothing matters, nobody cares. Just do whatever it is that you want to do because fuck it, life is short. So that's the kind of journey that I'm on at the moment. So to be honest, it has been one of the best years of my life. Just the opportunities that have come when I just let go of expectation, my own expectation, and then pressures of other people's opinions as well. So yeah.
Amazing. So when you say opportunities, what are the opportunities now that are coming your way?
Being here with lovely Sheila is definitely top 3. But I think just social media in general, like it's such a mad world, but like brilliant opportunities have come from that. So yeah, from growing social media, radio, presenting a little show on the radio. Like I never would have dreamed, before I took that video that kind of went a bit mad, I never would have dreamed of the things that have happened in such a short space of time. So yeah, and even when I think of it, I'm like, oh God, what actually has happened? But the radio is one. I've done this podcast with you, or I will have done this podcast with you. I did a great podcast with the lovely Jennifer Zamparelli, with Gavin Meenan, and just met really great like-minded people as well. So yeah, it's been a bit mad, but it's been wonderful.
Phenomenal. And it's giving you that chance to just reinvent.
Exactly.
You don't have to have the end result in your vision even. You just have to know that you're enjoying the process and you're wide open to whatever comes your way. So you had, your training was in dancing and music, am I right? Yeah. And you had a brief period in classrooms.
Yeah, very
Subbing.
brief.
Very brief. Tell me about this. So school wasn't your favourite place to be as a youngster? Or even as a sub?
Yeah, in every shape and form. I don't know like how I even thought of going back into teaching, but it was all I really knew. My mum was a teacher, my sisters were teacher, you know, my aunts and stuff were teachers as well. So Daddy was like, you need to get a good pensionable job now. So I was like, right, okay, I'll go back into teaching. But when I was in school myself, I was allergic to the classroom, but I did every single extracurricular activity there was. So I was on the camogie team. Like I would have gone on the hurling team if they'd allowed me. Like basketball, debating, anything to get out of the classroom. And my mum was a teacher in that school. And then she was lethal as well. You see, I was the mistake of the family. I was the real baby. Do you know what I mean? There was an 8-year gap between me and my brothers and sisters. So
Shakings of the sack.
Say that
the
again.
Shakings of the sack.
Exactly. That's one of my favourite terms,
I know a good
actually. Oh, that's brilliant. But yeah, more or less. And I got away with murder. Like Mammy I'd know her timetable. So I'd be like outside waiting at the car for her to come out and be like, we'll go and get lunch, the two of us. And she'd always let me, like it was lethal. And that's probably what's wrong with me now, to be honest. But yeah, so then I went to UL, studied music and dance, loved every minute of it, met the greatest friends, like had such a great time, came out and then did so many random jobs and started up a band actually at home, did kind of random jobs within the arts and was just kind of floating a little bit. And that was when Daddy was like, okay, you need to now do the pensionable job. So went back, did teaching, finished it, and was like, I can't. Do you know, it was destroying my soul now. I never wanted to be a teacher, you know, that kind of a way. Now, I'm so glad and so grateful to have it. And it's always there and I can always like sub and stuff. So that's brilliant. But I'm ready to like explore and exhaust every other avenue at the moment. So when I came back from traveling, that's when I said, this is it now. You're not falling back into subbing or teaching. You're going to actually try all of the things that you've wanted to do. Because I think before I went traveling, I was always like for a couple of years, you know, around the sides, but never really jumping in because I was too afraid of failure. And then other people's judgments on that possible failure. And then came home after traveling and I was like, I couldn't give a flying. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, this is it now. Jump in. If you fail, you've tried. And it'll be a learning process. And it's just been brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you say jump into what? What was the pond that you were jumping into? Social media, basically. Just what you saw other people doing. You were deciding from the get-go you were going to be an influencer. You didn't necessarily know in what department yet, I glean.
I don't even know. To be honest, I looked at social media. Like I was never into social media before I actually started doing this. Like I wouldn't have even been the person to like take photos and put them up on your story. Do you know, I never had a personal account. I actually had deleted my personal account. And then before I went traveling, I'd done ads. I'd done a couple of different things in the arts. So I just had a couple of things up on my Instagram page from that as kind of a CV to show on brands, but yet still not really trying. So when I came back, actually it was when I was traveling that I really started to kind of get into social media. But it was, the reason I started it was because I feel like in the arts nowadays, you have to have a social media presence, more or less, do you know what I mean? If you want to do anything, if you want to work in radio, television, music, you need to have some kind of presence online. So that's why I was like, right. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh my God, this is a whole other platform where you can just be whatever you want to be and you're in control. And that's what I love about it, that it's like you're your own boss. I can cancel myself in 2 minutes if I want to, which I've been very close to doing.
Have you actually?
Yeah, quite a few times. No. Well, I don't know. I think, cancelling is kind of, you have to lean into being cancelled. Maybe actually, I don't know what I'm even talking about there.
I think I understand because I was actually just about to say, so you're obviously very well healed. And I gleaned that from your content anyway, that I know we're joking with the couldn't give an SH1T, but also it's more of a, I think it's more of a freedom. To me, freedom is the definition of success. Anyway, I really mean that.
Yeah.
When you pare everything back, if you're feeling free in yourself to be yourself, I think you're dancing with success there, no matter what you choose to do. So I glean that. There's a lovely freedom about your posts. I absolutely adore your daddy. So does half the world. And your lovely mammy. I didn't know mammy was a teacher until I did my research for this. But I saw the post where you were opening up the lovely buska from Folline. And I, as a Gaeilgeoir, I was creased. I was creased. And I have a package from Folline. Daddy, it's Folline. And the mammy in the back, I just thought it was so relatable and real. I actually sat to watch it. I mean, who does that anymore? But it was like anybody's kitchen. I taught my son, I was a teacher for 30 years as well, and I taught both of my children. Wow. So we have great stories. And then when they were in their teens, so that was in primary school. In their teens, I became a therapist. And then in the third iteration of me as an actor and a presenter, my eldest son is an actor and an established, brilliant actor. So mum turns around then and he's like, seriously, mother, seriously, will you stop following us?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Let us be. Yeah. So, but it's amazing. When I watched that content, that was just like our house years ago, the children would be speaking and I'd say, don't forget your INGs. And, and there's this, we're at home now. Can we just be at home now, But it was lovely. I loved mum correcting you and the fun. They're loving it with you. They're so supportive.
They really are.
Yeah.
They are. And that's amazing. I didn't realise. So you actually did nearly go through every stage of your kid's life with them,
Oh, literally. God help them.
Amazing.
I know. I would offer them mates rates now if they would come to me. For the, like,
Cash only.
Yeah, seriously. I know. I should take a leaf out of your book. Yeah, they're gorgeous, by the way, and we are great buddies. And it's a good job we are, because quite literally you talk about your shadow and, your mother being your biggest stressor. Like, I was their primary school teacher. I didn't teach the youngest guy as a class teacher, but I taught music in the class that he was in when he was in Rangashay. And my eldest boy was in my Rangashay. And then throughout their teens, I had Scully Huron. I was teaching Irish to newly qualified teachers. And yeah, so I mean, I've been all over it.
I'd say they got some hardship being like this hot mom coming
no.
They're like, man.
Do you know what? Their friends were always gorgeous. It was there was a lovely balance, because if you think about it, Banny Huron in school, or Muncher Sheila when I was in the Gael school, whatever the iterations of me, and then to be able to bring my children's friends home, who were the school children getting out into the teacher's house. Imagine. So the parties were like school tours. It was a big event, but it was great. And I feel like the luckiest mammy in the world to have had that opportunity with them. So I took them to school with me. I literally taught them. I took them home, did Upper Whalia with them, took them to all of their extracurricular activities. And then we all said our prayers and went to bed in the same house. It's a good story. And it's like your house as I watch it from the outside in. It's happy, healthy, wholesome. There's nothing perfect about it, but it's real and it's full of love.
And I think that was the only way that I could get into social media, or that for me it felt authentic, because, I am amazed at people, and how they put so much effort into making things look lovely. And like, I appreciate that, but I can't do it. Not that I can't, but like, I just want to be real. That's the only way that I'll actually go and do it, because I feel like I'm a bit kind of all over the shop. And if I have to think about, I need to do this and I need to make this look okay and I need to make this look okay, I'll end up not doing it. Yeah. So I'm like, it feels like you were saying, just so free to be like, I'm going to put this camera on now. Let's just be the way that we are. And it's lovely. And it's actually been so special to catch so many great memories as well. And we've had so many laughs since we've started taking like the videos as well. And like the laughs were always there, but it makes it kind of funnier when you get to look back on them, and then you have lovely people, you know, saying lovely things, and especially about Daddy. Like that's it's like, that's all I want, is just people to appreciate how wonderful he is, because he's a legend. Yeah,
he's a legend. And Mam is as well. Poor Mam. Don't be forgetting Mam. Mam can't be the unsung hero. I loved the video of the pair of you. You were obviously on a sponsored spa break. Having the afternoon tea. Well, it was just gorgeous, and she's loving every bit of it with you. And you know, jokes aside, again, that generosity of spirit from your perspective, bringing the whole family in, but also their huge bandwidth and window of tolerance for, you know, baby child now decides to do this digital thing. Like that's, you know, they're not digital natives. So to show up as willingly as they do is such a gift. It's pure love.
Yeah, all my family are just brilliant. And I think they have accepted and, you know, always encouraged me. Like I was always a little show pony. I was like, you know, someone would come into the kitchen and I'd pretend to be shy for about 5 minutes, and then I'd be like, do you want to see me do an Irish dance? Like, having never Irish danced before in my life, but I put on my eldest sister's Irish dancing dress, and it'd be down to my ankles, and I'd be like cart horsing around the floor. So they were always, because I was the baby, you know, they were like, just go and be you. Now I was also bet down because I was the youngest as well. Like, you know, you wouldn't get away with anything at home, and especially, you know, in the social media thing, they're like, sure, what is it? Like, it's not even real anyway. So there's a lovely balance between them being like, sure, you're great, and also being like, get a grip of yourself. Do you know what I mean? But Mammy, because I was the youngest, I was like her shadow. That's what they used to say, like when we were growing up. The two of us were always as thick as thieves. So I just feel like she's always been like a best friend, do you know, that kind of way. And I nearly kind of forget about her sometimes because I just know that she's always there.
She's a given.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And obviously the same with Daddy, but Mammy's wonderful, and I feel bad now that I haven't given her as much.
Oh, don't worry, I'll shout for Mammy, probably because I'm one myself. I was that teacher and I am that mum. Yes, we all are. I know, they're amazing. I love it. I actually think that's part of your brand. For me, watching from the outside in, the brand of Doireann that I love is that family life, the farming life. So, you know, the farm and the dance floor all happening together. You have that singing background, so you were definitely the performer. And you have the farm life, which is very ordinary. And I'm from not necessarily a farming background, but from the country. And I helped out on farms, as everybody does. And I still live in the country, and I love the cows, and I love the farms and my neighbours. And it's either in you or not. You know, you're inclined to love it or not, I think, and I absolutely love it, and you clearly do too.
Yeah.
And you can rock up in your gorgeous little Daisy Dukes and your wellies and do it for Instagram, but nonetheless be down there milking the cows and, you know, really relating to all of it as well. So I think it's very bespoke to you, the way you're doing it, and I love the fact that it's not all curated and polished and, you know, prepared to within an inch of its life. It's just, it happens, and it's, you know, we show up, I think, with the same intrigue as you probably prepare to
nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's fabulous. It's so relatable. Tell me this then. So coming from such a lovely, secure attachment style, you were in a relationship for a number of years that didn't nourish your soul, and that you took off then travelling.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned the Eat, Pray, Love moment, which is lovely. So is that what it was? Was it to find yourself, and did you find yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm still looking now. I think I'll always be looking. But yeah, I did. Something very like special, I think, happened, without sounding too airy-fairy. But I think I don't know, like I feel like I'd lost myself somewhere kind of along the way in my 20s. And I was trying to kind of I suppose, find myself again, with like a want of a better word. But after COVID, during COVID, actually, I started singing in a wedding and events band. Brilliant time to start, a live band. But once everything opened back up again, it was just insane. Like, it was madness. I moved up to Dublin. I joined this band. It was brilliant. And I thought, and I always, every time I was driving around the country, I was having the absolute best time. And I always thought when I was younger, like, if I could just make money performing, like, I'll be the happiest person in the world. And I was, like, it was brilliant. But like everything, it has, its flaws too. So it was very physically demanding. Like, I was so tired from, the physicality of singing, of traveling all over the country. And I had planned to go to America during COVID. So that was and that never happened because everything went bust. I had visa booked, I had flights booked, and then Use It was a travel company, and they were one of the first to go. So I still had that itch to head off. And yeah, it was it was another really hard decision to make, I think. But I feel like it was kind of 2019, 2020 was like the pits. And then it was kind of since then building back up very slowly. And I think time, if I was to say anything to anybody, time is the biggest healer, but time is the worst. Having to, wait is the killer as well. So if you would have told me in 2019 that I would be sitting here with you today, I would be like, that's amazing. I'd never have believed it, So, sorry, I feel like I'm going on an
No, you're not. You're making perfect sense. So, the timeline was, it was after a relationship that didn't nourish you. Yeah. You were looking for fun and excitement and adventure. You took on the singing and the dancing aspect of the performance in the band. It tired you, so there was clearly something spiritual and emotional still to be healed. And the travel bug had been set in train. Planes were landed during COVID, and you were always going to follow that again. So you're obviously, you're good at following up on what you know are your dreams, which is a really good thing. Yeah. It's important to follow through. And I think as you get older as well, just when you mention time, it's important, I suppose, just to hold space for the fact that we narrowed the aperture of our lens for how we view life as we are getting older. Now, you're still only a spring chicken. But
thank you for reiterating.
However, as we get older, and particularly when you step into a new decade, you will have a different perspective. So it's a lovely thing to do, I think, to side shuffle, go somewhere else, a new environment, new people, no expectations, and see where it takes you within your own soul journey. That journey of discovery can happen there because there's an anonymity about it that I think is precious. I love that myself, which is hilarious. I love anonymity, says she behind the camera. I'm so shy. But there is it's very restorative to jump into something. If you go off on holidays for a week, you might be the chattiest person on the beach, but it's because nobody knows your backstory, your biology, or your biography. So you can have great fun. You can satisfy that craving for connection that's in all of us. We all have a social homeostasis network that we are going to satisfy unless we have troubles and traumas that we're not addressing. But when you can do that in a space where you chat with somebody, you move on, you don't have to go back to that again. It's very freeing. So clearly you did that over a protracted period of time. How long were you away for? You have just knocked the nail on the head. Yeah, that was exactly it. It was no expectations. I can be whoever I want to be, and it just so happened that I was myself. I found myself again. I was like, I'd forgotten that, I love talking to people. I love meeting people. And it hadn't really happened in a while because I was literally just going from the band members home, back to the band members again, because I didn't have that kind of network in Dublin. Because, the way in your later, like in your early 30s, late 20s, when you move to a new place, you kind of want to get a job in that place to kind of meet people that are in your same age group or whatever. And I never had that because it was always with the band that I was, so basically I didn't have the network of friends. So then I travelled
to Central America. I went in like November and then came back the end of March, I think it was. Or maybe it was the end of February.
That was a good long stint.
Oh, I was terrified. Yeah.
Really.
I didn't think I'd last, well, I had hoped to go for a month. And then I was like, you know, even at that, I was terrified. I didn't think I'd be able to do it. And then group trip, I cannot recommend for people that are not confident with solo travel. I can't recommend group trips enough, because that kind of gave me the confidence then to go on my own. You know, I never in a million years, if you had said to me this time last year or in October last year, you'll travel Colombia on your own, like I would have been like, no way. But it was the group trip that gave me the confidence to do that. Plus, it gave me the confidence to plan as well, and to kind of have confidence in my own decisions too, because you're out on your own, like it's terrifying and it's real life. You know what I mean? You're in this kind of dangerous place. You know, if you make, it was the best thing. I've never felt so exhilarated before in my life, and I've never met such lovely, like-minded people that made me remember who I was before life kind of happened, basically.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous story and very relatable. I think we had a lovely interview here last week with Deirdre Maguire, and we spoke about that when you're born, you are born in your essence. That's the soul of you as such. And more or less from the minute you come into the world, you know, the essence of you is being socialised out of you, depending on what family you're born into, what school you go to, what the circumstances are in the environment you're growing up in. And we're nearly all of our lives, literally, until our last moment, trying to get back to source energy, back to essence. So when you can take a side shot, it's a little bit of heaven on earth, really. You're not attached to your biology, your backstory and your biography of before. You're just free to work out, who am I? Or who else can I be when you're there? And then you can bring that back, that new iteration of you can bring it back with you. So you'll never be the same again, I can only imagine, after a trip like that.
Yeah. And I'd actually given up alcohol as well the month before I left. So that was huge in itself, that you were just really naked, not all the time physically, but like, you know, mentally going into situations.
Well, you'd be class even if you were.
They were like, Jesus, does this one ever put on clothes? But yeah, that was mad in itself, and really owning that, and like the confidence that alone gave me was insane. Because like, I'm not saying that I'll never drink again, but I feel like my relationship with alcohol wasn't great before I stopped drinking, and I think now if I was to go back to it again, it would be completely different. But I don't plan on doing that for a while, because I've never been so productive in my life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've never been so happy to go into any situation. Like, everything has gotten so much easier, because I feel like, you know, you'd always, well, for me anyway, if I was to go into a social situation, or if you're going on a date, or if you're doing anything really, you'd be like, oh, I'll have a glass of wine now before I do this. And not doing that, and just depending solely on yourself and, you know, who you are without anything to aid your personality is just mad. And it's, I don't know, really freeing in itself as well. So that was huge. Being away too, and kind of...
I'm so glad you did it a month before you left. Yeah. Because you were safer to be travelling without the tendency to have a jar, because it's not going to be the wisest thing if you're travelling, even once in a blue moon, to have a jar, because you don't have your wits about you. Oh no. So you need to go fully sober as a verb, you know, apart even.
And I'm lethal, like I would be the one to get in the back of the van, like sober. So then you put alcohol into that situation. I'd be like, oh my God, 100%. I would love to join El Chapo. Do you know what I mean? I'd be so it was lucky that I decided.
I feel it was more than luck. I think it was probably you had put out to the universe long since in advance of that you were looking for a steer and, you know, and something to immerse yourself in the super classroom of life. And I think that it was probably the culmination of many years of putting it out very succinctly to source energy that you needed to refuel. And if you were going to do that, you were going to do it, I think, in your strongest self, which of course is without... See, alcohol will take the edge off anxiety. Absolutely. I'm a practicing therapist, and a lot of people struggle with the fact that to be social, they really feel they need, because they suffer from anxiety at a given stage in their lives. And they have decided that to take a drink will take the edge off. And to some extent, it probably does. But it's a very dangerous space to get into, because once you take the edge off, you're not really yourself after that. The alcohol is making the choices. And choice is it's your superpower, really. So you need to be sober to make your wisest choices. So I'm glad you had a full month done before you left, and then 5 or 6 months to bed that down, to rewire your subconscious mind. And to be able to sit here now and say, I don't need it. That's a gift.
Yeah, it was wild now. And I never would have believed that, I'd be very happy not to drink and to go to social events and not. Because I loved a glass of wine, I was the one that was on the table, and now it'd still be on the table. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. It's
lovely. And it's a lovely different iteration of the influencer you, because you also did a lovely post recently where you talked about not smoking. And you
swear it found God or something.
Do you know what I mean, Sister Doireann? It's lovely to be talking to you. None today, none tomorrow, none the next day. But it is actually a great position to be in. I again tipped my hat to you when I saw that one, and I just said, let's sit back and watch. That's phenomenal work for the higher good that's happening very innocuously. You're not doing it to set yourself up as holier than thou, but by you, wild you, that we being able to do it, I'm absolutely sure that there are thousands of people watching that saying, well, if she can do it, because she looks like a gal who'd love a jar and a fag. Well, if she can...
You're not wrong.
Do you know what I mean? If she can park her hill to Ogden, I can too. And that alone, just sitting with that, people, out for their walk, listening to you in their AirPods or watching you on their phone. And I absolutely feel that will have helped a lot of people to at least become sober curious and park the fags, park the vape, whatever. Give it a lash. You mentioned the book that you used, and it doesn't matter what modality anybody uses. I do hypnotherapy for this process, and it's really efficacious. But people have to arrive to me with the placebo stitched in for it to be as effective as it can be.
Yeah.
If you arrive with no SIBO, like I did have one man one time going off cigarettes, and he was in trance. And he didn't open an eye, but he practically opened an eye, because he said, he spoke over me and said, oh no, this isn't working. No, because now his eyes were still closed, but I could actually get up and walk out the door now if I wanted. So he's resisting. And all you want to gently do is just take them down into that lovely subconscious space where I can get in then. Somebody's very suggestible in trance, and I can get in there and help to rewrite the program.
Yeah.
To take out the program that feels they need a cigarette to settle them, and then superimpose a different program and stack different resources to do instead of that thing. So it's a really, really helpful process. Yeah. And there was an element of flow state for people, I'm very sure, in what you were doing. Just the way you said it, just the fun, the freedom, the throwaway statement you made. Yeah, don't do that anymore. It was easy. Well, I don't think you said it was easy, but you said it wasn't hard.
No, that was what I couldn't believe, that I didn't. Now, coming off, I was a lunatic for the first week. The withdrawals, the withdrawals from nicotine or whatever, were mad. But I never would have believed that I would have not wanted to have a cigarette. That's what blew my mind, because, I'd always spoken to other smokers or to other people that had smoked, and they'd be like, oh, I'd still love a cigarette, with a after dinner or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to always want it. I'd love to just, for it to be over. And that's the way it kind of feels now. But of course, every now and again, you're like, oh, remember that, you'd have a little thing where you're like, oh, I used to have a cigarette here, and you just let it flow over you, and then it passes. But yeah, I can't believe it. And that has been really special, people saying, and that's kind of why I wanted to share it as well, because it was actually Alan Clark, a friend of mine. He's like a content creator. He's brilliant.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he's
fantastic.
lovely.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And I have to thank him for me actually sharing
I think the
that
pair of you should get
story.
married, but we'll talk about that again.
Oh, well, you never know now. I'd say he might have a problem with that.
I'm not so sure.
But Alan had a live podcast show and he said, will you share the story about, you giving up cigarettes? And I was like, I don't really want to. I just told him about it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, do you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
And like, if it helps someone else, but at that time I didn't know if I was actually going to, so I was terrified. I was like, oh no, but it was holding me accountable to do it. But now it's like people are following along and they're deciding to give up, and it's amazing. I'm like, fair play to you, So that's been lovely. And I think social media across the board for that has been great too. Just people are bang on, and then there's absolute lunatics as well. But you take, one with the other.
Oh, have you had difficulty?
Oh, Sheila, stop.
Oh, really?
Absolute. Yeah. But do you know what? I always say now that like other people's opinions are none of my business. And I feel like that's the only way that you can, if you're going to put yourself out there, you can be the juiciest peach in the world and people don't like peaches. I'm coming out with every cliche statement now you can imagine. But yeah, if you're putting yourself out there, you're always going to get backlash. And I think other people's opinions are a reflection on their opinion of themselves. So I actually do, and I'm not just saying that, I do feel a bit sorry for people who are, coming with these outrageously nasty statements to me. And it's like, you don't know me at all. Like, I just think it's mad. I think the thought process behind doing that to someone is just wild and I can't get my head around it. So that's it. I'm like, that seems like a you problem to them. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Totally. And do you see this because you go back through comments, or is it?
It was funny, actually. I thought, so like in the beginning, like the abuse that I was getting on TikTok now was wild. And then I just kept going. I actually don't know how. When I look back on it, I'm like, how did it was water off a duck's back. I didn't even read into any of them at all. And then I actually started to kind of have a bit of crack and do a dancing video, back to them or whatever. And again, that was actually Alan that had said, you should reply to them. And I was like, but I don't want to write to reply to them. So then I said, okay, I'll take a video and I'll dance or whatever. So I had thought, I was like, I've been lashing up videos now every day, every second day for however many months. And I was like, God, I haven't been getting like any abuse at all. People must actually be like kind of accepting me here now. And then I saw someone take a video and say, your reviewed comments, because when they're really bad, they go to reviewed comments. So TikTok have actually taken those comments and put them somewhere else. And you can click in to see them. So like beforehand, I just stopped. I could see when I click on my comments, I could see reviewed comments and you can decide if you want to see them or not. And I had just not bothered looking at them anymore. And then that had gone. So I was like, oh, they vanished. Wonderful. Everybody loves me now. This is fab. And then I see a video of someone saying you have to go into your settings now to see your reviewed comments. And then I was like, oh, oh,
Daddy.
Sweet Jesus. Yeah, I was like, there's reams of them. But it's nice that I have to actually go searching for them if I want. But what's actually really handy now? I know where to go when I want to make my little dancing video to say, F you.
Wow, isn't it amazing? But I suppose, as you say, you have to probably, if you're going to step into that visibility, you probably have to strap on your spare capacity. Yeah. A bit like you don your beautiful clothing and your makeup and your lovely hair pieces and all the stuff. Mutual Appreciation Society. Yeah, I think it was so my turn, wasn't it? You won't miss your chance.
I'm so obsessed with you.
Count it in about 5 minutes' time. But equally, you then metaphorically strap on your spare capacity. And I think you need to do that. And that has to be probably, the oxygen for your emotions. So if this stuff comes and it sucker punches you, let it go. Let it go. I write poetry and I drop poems with various episodes throughout the
Are
time.
the gift that keeps giving,
stop.
Sheila. I can't. What do you not
Perfectly
do?
placed. Right, will it be my turn next? Love this. You'd swear we scripted it, our lassie. Fantastic. No, I do. I love poetry. I have an anthology of poetry, so I'm dropping them in little bits and pieces, and I'm writing a lot more poetry now in the last number of years as well, just from a different thematic perspective. But I have a poem which I'm going to be naughty enough to applaud myself and say is great and would be perfect with this one. Now, it's too late to drop it today, but I might drop it in retrospect. And it's called Sometimes You Just Have to Hoor It Out. Now that's
I love it already.
That's H-E-U-R, sister.
I love that you thought of me when you...
Seriously. So I remember my dad saying once, he was singing an Elvis Presley song, and it is part of the song, and he said, "That's M-A-L-E, son." And I always just remember that one line. He was singing the song in the car, and he just repeated, "That's M-A-L-E, son." So when I was writing this one, sometimes you just have to hoor it out. That's H-E-U-R, sister. So it's my Presley moment.
Oh my God,
but it's a good old poem, and the whole idea is the heuristics. So heuristics are where you just fix it on the fly. You don't know the outcome, but you just have to rock up to it, see where it goes, and be armoured up and ready. You know. And so I think it's a nice sweet piece. So I'll drop it in retrospectively, and I'll reference it back to this. But because one of my poems actually has been taken by a gorgeous guy called Franco D and turned into a song. And he has registered the song to both of us. So it's great. Poetry it's a nice creative way to download your own feelings and then kind of get an aerial view of them. So you're not in the thing you're writing about, you're the observer of it. And it gives you a lot of lovely perspective. Yeah. But that's a cheeky one. Sometimes you got to hoor it out is a bit cheeky.
I love it. I actually can't wait to hear it now, because that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Sometimes you just gotta hoor it out.
Hoor it out.
And the other thing is, you said this as well in relation to those comments, you just have to step into your corporate self and say, that is not my business.
Yeah.
And really mean it. That, you're right, that is not my business. If somebody has something negative to say, it's completely about themselves.
Yeah. And as well, I just think none of it is real either. Like, do you know what I mean? As in social media in general, it's such a mad place. Like, it's all just videos of people putting up things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can all be gone in a day, and like, these people aren't real to me. Like, you're real to me. My families and friends are real to me. You know, well, like, people's that opinions I would take to heart are real. But I think, people online, it can all just dissipate.
Yeah, it's a bit of an illusion, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's wherever, you don't see it as it is, you see it where you're at. So your vantage point on a given day will determine how you read somebody's story, or what story you go into, or what impact it has on you. So even that alone gives you the sense of just seeing the transience of it and not buying too much into it, because it could be burdensome and hurtful and sad, and it could be therefore a bit of a rabbit hole that's hard to climb out of if you take it too seriously.
Exactly. And that's what I mean by that. You just have to take everything with a pinch of salt. And I think that in life in general, and that's my whole thing now, is to just keep swimming and enjoy.
I love it. So the mingling now, and the singling and the mingling.
This is sons, actually, Sheila.
Fantastic. I do. And funny enough, actually, I just not. He's a great wee Gaeilgeoir, and I was chatting with him just before we came on air. I was leaving him a message in Irish, and he knew I was interviewing you. And we're all big fans of you in our house, I have to say. It's one. Yeah, it's
now
one.
I'm getting embarrassed.
Yeah, there you go. But funny jokes aside, he did say to me, "Don't forget to tell her now that you have a wee boy living in London."
Oh, fabulous!
So there you go. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, London's not too far away either. Perfect.
Only over the puddle. Would I be mother-in-law status too?
Would that be okay?
Would that be okay?
I think I'd actually rather go out with you, Sheila, now at this point. I know.
Oh, stop. Yeah. I have another piece of writing called non-duality, non-binary. I think we could do that. We could go there. We could go there.
Do you know what? Sometimes I feel like I can appreciate, I appreciate women's beauty, and I'm like, maybe. And then I'm like, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, absolutely.
I know.
No way.
I know.
But it would probably be easier. Do you know what I mean? Imagine the crack that you'd have. And that you just understand each other.
Yeah, well, you have. I remember a gorgeous older lady that I worked with a number of years ago in the first school I taught in, And I remember her saying, it's a wife every wife needs. Every woman, it's a good wife every woman needs.
So true.
And it was a great old statement. This was way pre our modern living, so she was quite ahead of her time and avant-garde in many ways, this lovely lady. She has long since transitioned. But you're kind of addressing that even already with these events. I love it. And it is more about the girlies getting together and empowering friendship before relationship. And I think this is phenomenal. Again, very bespoke to you. You have a very individual brand. The showing up at your videos, as we said, not polished. Now, a lot of them are beautifully polished. There's a couple of stunning pieces of film that really should be in Hollywood. But beyond that, your actual content is quite haphazard. You very genuinely do bring the essence of natural you to the place, which is so engaging. But these events are phenomenal. So you're helping people to find friendship, find connection with other people that are like-minded thinkers, and you won't all be, just because you're gal pals getting together, everybody won't have everything in common with everybody, but there might be one or two people who will say, do you know what, let's play tennis next week. Let's, go for a dip in the local sea together. Am I right in understanding that this is what it's all about?
Yeah, and I just think it's like what I was saying when I moved to Dublin, I didn't know anybody, and I think Ireland can be a hard place to make friends when you're a little bit older. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. In my, people, if they're from Dublin, say they'll have their friends made from school or from work, and it can be hard to kind of infiltrate groups. As a woman, I don't know if I'm right in saying that. I feel like men are kind of like, oh yeah, we'll go to the pub and we'll watch the match, and they'll all just kind of mingle. Whereas women, it's a little bit like, oh, who's the weird girl sitting on her own at the bar? Do you know what I mean? And it can be harder to make friends. And I think when you're at this age, or, at the stage where all of your friends are getting married, they have responsibilities, it can be a very lonely time. And you can nearly, like, the social construct can put pressure on you. And, I feel like Ireland is a mad place as well, where it's kind of like, your success is based on if you're married and have a house and have kids at the age of 30. And that still hasn't really gone away. I feel like it's starting to kind of move a little bit with the times, but it's still kind of there more so than maybe other countries, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think that's where female friendship, it's important to have female friendship, because then you're not putting as much pressure, or you're not feeling the pressure to get into a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship.
For the optics. Exactly. Because as you say, if the model looks like you have to have it all done by the time you get to the end of your 20s, or you're left behind, then you might fall into that for the wrong reasons. And you might try and whore it out in a relationship that isn't growing you.
Exactly.
And the bottom line is, people are showing up with user manuals. They really are showing you in their behaviour who they are. Yeah. So we really should RTFM and not whore it out if it's not growing us. But exactly as you say, sometimes people might feel, given the culture that they're in, well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and they'll follow with whatever seems to be the practice of the time or the practice of their environment. And it's 5 minutes to get into it. It's a very long time to get out of it if it's the wrong relationship.
Yeah. And I think that is so sad. Like, at one of these nights, it was such, like, every night that we've done, there's been such fabulous girls. And as we were saying, like, all the same mindset. But one girl was talking about a friend of hers that said that she wasn't happy in her relationship. But she was like, I have a wedding in February and I don't want to go to it on my own. And I was just like, oh, sweet Jesus. Like, I just think life is it's just not worth it. And it is so hard to leave a relationship, but it's worth its weight in gold when you're out of it, and when you actually put when you put not the feeling, but
when you're brave, is it when you brave it and get past the hardship of it?
Yeah, when like all of the, oh my God, sorry, my brain is so dead, but all of the time and effort that you put into that relationship that isn't really going anywhere or fulfilling you, either of ye, if you put that into yourself.
Oh, yeah.
it'll be, you know, sorry. I
And
don't
of
know.
course, as you say, then if you're not drinking, if you're showing up to your life sober or even sober curious, so sometimes not drinking, you have a greater chance of seeing what needs doing to help you to feel better in yourself. I love the idea of believe, be love, belong to yourself. If you can belong to yourself and work on whatever it takes, there's lots of meandering ways to get to that place. And it's not all bubble baths and, you know, hot tubs on a spa break. It's different. It's going for a walk in the farmyard by yourself and knowing the difference between being on your own and being lonely.
Exactly.
It's sitting with your pain.
Yeah.
You know, I feel meh right now. Well, let's sit with that and see what's coming up. Don't numb it or ring my friend that isn't really my friend to try and talk about it. Or, if you have too many friends either, a lot of people live in a friend famine, and then sometimes people have fictitious big groups as well. And there can be a lot of jandering and giving out. And that's not really exorcising the challenge. It's actually fueling it up. It's stoking the fire, so sitting with your own pain to work out what's coming up for me here. How am I feeling about that? What triggered that? What do I want to do about that? And then moving on just a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Just one tiny little bit stronger in your lovely self to face the world and embrace the world. Because whatever you're broadcasting, whatever you're putting out vibrationally, you're getting an absolute match for that.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship with somebody and it isn't nourishing you, and you're going to hang on till February, don't think that person isn't there as well. Without words, we're all in vibrational vicinity to each other all of the time. And even now, our nervous systems are syncing. When you're this close to somebody and you're looking into somebody's eyes and you're having a very genuine conversation, not scripted, really listening to what the person is saying and really responding in the moment, nervous systems are syncing. And that's our superpower. So quality connection is where it's at. But we have to be able to have quality connection with ourselves and sit with our pain before we have that to offer to somebody else and to give them the chance then to bring something lovely to our world. We really need to be able to, I think, we definitely don't want to need anybody to complete us.
100%, yeah.
I think some people maybe go in from that weak vantage point into relationships thinking, well, I'll go with him or I'll go with her because they have a friend group. I don't. So that will put the piece in the jigsaw of me that I can't access myself.
Yeah. I can't agree with everything that you've said more. And I think if I could say anything to anybody, if someone is unsure of a relationship, to just leave. I remember when I was coming out of the relationship that I was in, I went to a therapist and I just told her everything. And she said to me, you will never regret leaving and coming back, but you might regret never leaving. And it was just the best advice that I needed at that time. So and that's just, I can't even say it any better, just that. Yeah. Going away, putting the love into yourself can never be, it can never be a bad thing. And then grand, if you realise, oh, this person actually is right for me. It was myself that I needed to, nourish and put more love into. And now I can go back to that person a better version of yourself or more in love with yourself. So therefore you can give love to someone else. But 100%, I was always in a relationship growing up. And now I've gone from one extreme to another. But it's wonderful because I am now so content in myself that I know exactly what I don't want, but I also know what I do want. And I have so much love to give, but I know the worth of the love that I have. Do you know what I mean? That it takes two to tango. And yeah, I just don't think I'd ever get into something just for the sake of it again. But I'm so open to love at the same time. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very important to love yourself. And it's very important to nourish female connections if you're single at this age.
Yeah, and female connections and or just friendship. Male and female because we have a lovely fluidity in our world nowadays, which we can't ignore. And you're right, particularly, I think, and then you have to look at the culture of your own environment. We are Irish women, so we have Celtic woman strength in us, not too far below the skin, and we love that feminine energy. There's no doubt about it. But we also live in a world now where guys and gals are really in quality friendship groups together. And as long as they're a quality friendship group, I think that's probably what you're speaking to.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I feel like I always talk about women versus men. Like, I love men. Do you know what I mean? I think men are the best. But for me, at the moment, I just don't I don't have that many male friends. Do you know, but it's actually like what you said. It's quality versus quantity. And I think, you put your emphasis and your time into quality friendships, not, love, interest, or you put effort into that as well. But I just think yourself and friendships are most important. And then when you feel ready, or maybe I don't even know if anybody feels ready for a relationship either, but I think it's important to love yourself and to nourish relationships or nourish friendships.
I agree, and it's gorgeous, and it's not linear, Doireann. So it doesn't have to happen in your 20s or your teens. When you're in your adolescence, you're going through a big growth spurt, physically, sexually, emotionally. We know that. But then we shimmy straight from that into matrescence. So that's kind of a bit of a danger zone as well, and patrescence. So we're in, whether we're late teens, I think COVID has kicked everything in maturation back by 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, girls and boys being slightly different. But then matrescence is when we're in that body that is internally getting ready because of evolution for a baby, or in a man internally getting ready to be the daddy. And obviously, I know we could have many jokes, but we're not on Tommy Tiernan now, so behave yourself. We're going to crack on with this now. This is the classroom. So but realistically, matrescence is going to be drawing us towards a suitable, a novel partner to procreate. So we have to be a little bit guarded about that in our present world and realise, we need to be ready for creating a family and being in family space if we possibly can. Circumstance will very often determine and dictate for people. But I actually believe that, I don't know whether it is that I choose to believe, or, my belief is coming first and then I'm cognitive about it afterwards. But I do believe that even the marriages that people get into, the relationships that they get into that work and that don't work, the friendships, the friend famines, the friend fishing, all the bits, they're all a response to what we're broadcasting at a given time. They're all meant to be for whatever period of time. The friendships that go awry, that tank, that make us cry in our room for 10 years and we don't, they're still all sent to us, I think quite strategically, to help us to access our own higher selves in that evolution of self over a period of time. And equally, if we look at the biology of matrescence, we are all inclining towards eventually. Now, some people will choose not to have children, and that's their choice, and that's a beautiful choice. But I think biologically, most of us, I think the average sense of self is inclining towards hopefully matching with and mating with a suitable partner to set down family life, particularly in Irish culture, I think. So by setting down your friendships first, really solidly, and before that, by falling in love with your own gorgeous self, you definitely are setting yourself up for success in relationship space.
Yeah.
More so than failure.
That is, I am like, wow, Sheila, you
no
are
charge.
Just, yeah,
no
exactly.
Charge.
I'm like, do you take cash? I completely, that's absolutely it. I completely agree.
So what you're doing is amazing. That's what I'm saying. You are building something phenomenal. Beyond your content, what you're doing is phenomenal. And I think, we might even do a bit of work together and grow it from the point of view of then, taking that space then and just chatting, leading groups, helping people to understand where they're at, why they gravitated towards that. What is it in them then that seeks that out? So you set this up, you call in, it's great the way you're doing it. It's fantastic the way you call in the different commentary on certain themes. and you're posting that up. So it's great, it's fun. But people are then gravitating to these events. So what part of themselves is attending that? You know, in the many iterations of any, and is it their protector self? Yeah. Is it their lonely self? Is it their firefighting self? Is it their empathic self or their codependent self? So who's showing, or is it actually quite a healed culmination of their whole self at any given time? Because the person that walks in the door to that event, who's coming quite whole, they will probably leave there then with the last little piece of the jigsaw in place, and they'll go and meet Mr. Right when they walk around the corner. Yeah. Whereas anybody who walks in still trying to access their more whole self, they might meet Mr. Right now, and they might be exhausted with Mr. Right Nows, and that might make them feel like, oh, you know, failed again.
Yeah.
You know, it's mindset really.
Isn't
matters
it?
So hugely.
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason, and it's like exactly what you said. Everything that has the people that you've met, the situations that you've gotten into up until this point, all build towards the greater good, or who, you know, you're going to end up with or end up being. And that's why I think it's important to just be yourself and to love yourself and to put all of the I don't know what. There's an analogy that I love, and it is, if you are at home on your own and there's no food in the fridge, and a pizza man comes to the door and he says, I've got a pizza. You're like, oh my God, come in. I'm absolutely starving. And then you bring the pizza man in. But if you have a fridge full of food, you've just eaten, you've just cooked for yourself, you'll answer the door and you'll ask more questions to the pizza man, and you'll actually think about whether or not you invite them into the house. So that's what I think, like, I put that in for love. Do you know what I mean? You need to fill yourself before you invite someone into your house.
Sure.
And I think that's the most important.
And it's a gorgeous analogy. And is it wrong that I was going to do a Tommy Tiernan on that? Oh my God, you're going to riding the pizza man.
You can have a good time with him, you know.
It's a fantastic analogy. And it's actually, it hits the nail on the head, because the whole idea is, if you're filling your own cup, then when you dine or share space with somebody metaphorically, it is genuinely for the conversation. It's not because you're starving.
Exactly.
You know, if you go to any situation starved of love within yourself, you might binge on the moment, and that's surely not good.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I think as well, like, the stuff that I'm putting up is actually what's happening in my life as well. So, you know, it's kind of like, that's what I'm really enjoying about content creation as well. You know, I'm actually like what we're saying, I'm down the yard with Daddy. I'm going through this whole singles relationship journey, friendship journey as well. And I think it's been really empowering to explore and to meet other people that are kind of going through the same thing again, or that can relate to, you know, what the little journey that I'm on. But it's been a really special time, and I'm excited now to see what is going to happen.
I am too, because you're manifesting. Like, we're all manifesting all the time. This is the thing. You know, we are manifesting. The whole question, though, is whether or not we like what we're manifesting. But we are manifesting, because what we're putting out there is exactly what we're attracting in. So in the manifestation space, as a manifester, do we like what we're manifesting? This is what we're querying at this point, and we're trying to get ourselves into that higher vibrational space where what we manifest is pretty not a kick in the tail end away from the desired result. Yeah. You know, when we have time to think about it. So tell me, who influences the influencer? Who are you watching on your socials?
Wow.
Or do you have time to watch anything? Watching myself.
Yeah, it is actually mad. Like, I swear, I never, because I wasn't massively into social media, you know, before I started doing it myself, I was never really following many influencers. It would have been just friends and family. But Joanne McNally, I absolutely adore.
Oh, totes the same.
Yeah, she is just, I love everything about her. Yeah, she's such a strong, independent woman. She's a businesswoman. She is so funny, and she's just, herself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I really, really look up to Joanne McNally. And yeah, I think it's a lot of my cousin actually is an actress and a comedian as well, Aisling B. I think she's brilliant as well. Yeah. So I would have massively looked up to her, I think, growing up too, because she was the strong, independent woman. She was amazing. Like she's won a BAFTA. She's a genius, I think. So that would have always, she would have been a massive influence on my life too. And I think
you're
my
coming,
family.
You're coming from rich stock there. I did not know that in the creatives. I did not know. I know that you have a cousin who is an absolutely phenomenal makeup artist.
Yeah,
James.
He is brilliant.
Yeah,
And
I
he
fanboy there as well. Yeah,
you would.
I fan there as well.
Fangirl. We're all fangirl.
I'm slapper. Yeah,
and he is such great crack as well. And
Gorgeous.
he's such a genuinely lovely person. So yeah, and then my family, like my sisters, I feel like because I was so much younger than them, they were like my heroes growing up. So it was always them before anybody else that I was like, I just want to be like them. So I feel like I've taken little parts of my favorite parts of them, and I've just, meshed it into my being, to be honest. But yeah, I think, and I've never just trying to kind of be me and do my own thing. I wouldn't, apart from the people that I've just mentioned. But I think everybody's wonderful, Sheila.
I absolutely love that story, and I know we're having great crack, but I really want to hold a minute for family life when you say that. Not everybody is as you really. I did a podcast years ago with Andrea Splendori, gorgeous man from Greystones. He has the Social Fabric podcast. He's a lovely, lovely person. And I called that interview, Some People Are So Poor, All They Have Is Money, because of the nature of the conversation that we had. It's a nice one to check out if you like. It's on Spotify, Hole in One with Sheila. It's in the archives. But I firmly believe that family life like that, when it works out that way, is your wealth and your splendour and your lottery, and it's everything potentially all rolled into one. If you can be friends with the people that you grew up with and shared a living space in harmony with, and it won't all be perfect.
No,
it's not.
I'm saying this now. We are absolutely not the Brady Bunch. We kill each other.
In love, though. When love is the benchmark, though, and when people are decent and kind and they hang in for the long haul with each other, everything else actually is a bit like the kaleidoscope. It really genuinely does all fall into place eventually as well.
Yeah.
Love is the answer, whatever the question.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're real. I think that's where, when I came into the real world, when I came into college, all of the relationships that I had were real, and everybody was kind of, portrayed themselves as who they really are. And that's the way I had been brought up as well. My brothers and sisters have massive personalities, but what you see is what you get. Yeah. And it was the same in college. And then when I came out of college, that was when I kind of realised, people aren't all who they say they are, and I was a little naive to that. And I think that's why I really appreciate now authenticity, is everything. And I feel like what we were speaking about as well with friendships and with relationships, anything in general, as long as you are your authentic self, I feel like I'm very aware of that now with people that I don't, you just want real. Mm-hmm. And I think as well with being sober, you'd swear Daddy thinks I'm Shane McGowan, he's a pioneer, has never touched, a drink in his life. And he's like, I'm giving up the smokes, I'm giving up the drink. But that's what I have realised as well from not drinking wine for the last year, is that everything is real. I keep saying to my sister, she was like, what's it like? And I was like, it's basically just like you're depressed all the time, but it's not like that. But you're stable all the time. But then when the highs are high, it's real. Yeah. And that's mind blown. But when and the lows never get as bad. And then as well that they're going to pass. Yeah. So all I want in life is just realness.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That is it. That, you know, and that collective effervescence is Mother Nature's champagne, Mother Nature's bubbles. So when you're genuinely self-authentic, radically self-honest, on a rampage of gratitude, and I know I'm being very big in all of my language for a reason, I'm choosing it carefully, for the purpose of animating this, you don't need the false high. Yeah. There's a big price to pay for that. You know, I don't drink either, by the way, which is how I can relate. Okay. And I did in the past and thoroughly enjoyed it, no more than anybody else. As long as you do, you're safer, you know, within self. That said, it was just natural and organic for me not to. At a certain point, I was studying. Yeah, I was very, very busy. And it was one of the things that I could pare back on. I mean, nothing else. I mean, I couldn't just not pick up my kids and just, certain stuff. I was kind of like,
so annoying.
Yeah, you know, whatever. Like, Jesus, he's still around 24 years later. But, you know, I had to show up to everything else. And I was very, very busy at the time. And the one thing that I could do, actually, it was very funny. I was really, really busy. I was doing a master's in education. I had my own business, Scully Huron. I was starting the psychotherapy, so I was kind of had a toe in the waters there. I was still in school full time. I hadn't retired. I didn't retire until I had 30 years done, which is very punitive, by the way. Like, in one sense, round pin in a round hole. If I had stayed for another 5 or 10 years, there might be a bit of a pension in it. But when you jump at 30, Jesus, it's like you dumped the lot. It's no. But anyway, you know, if you've new things to do, and if you're leaving, you know, in a very healthy way, it's better. It's, you know, it's always better. It always grows you. Like you referenced that it wasn't for you. I would have to say it absolutely was for me. I loved it. When I was rearing my children, it was the gift. I'd say your mammy would say the same.
She loved it. She always wanted, like, that was her dream. Yeah.
For sure. And I have literally had the most amazing children pass through my classroom, lovely colleagues, lovely families that I've worked with. So it has been a lovely experience. But when I was ready for something else, I was ready for something else. And you know, if I look back with love and as I move on. But the funny thing is, when at a particular time, I was very, very busy, and I would have enjoyed a glass of wine on a Friday night. That was my night. My husband would make a curry, and I would come in quite late because I had work that I was involved in after school. I couldn't wait for the curry. By the time I got out the road, I was ravenous for a curry. Like a rat off a drain pipe with the curry and a glass of red. And the boys used to laugh, and they'd say, take bets, how long will it be before she's out for the couch on the couch? Because I was so exhausted, and I couldn't wait for this glass of wine and the downtime. I was off, but you see, the off switch was flipped on my way out the road. So by the time I got in and sat down to watch a bit of Tubbs, I was, you know, drooling. It was my best look on the couch. I actually met Ryan Tubridy last week and told him that story. He's a lovely, lovely man. Met him in London very briefly. But at that time, to have a glass of wine was a lovely thing to do. Yeah. But it was never going to serve me. I was getting on this new trajectory. It was so busy, and I needed to be fresh as a daisy every day. There was no day that I could afford to take time out of the next day after. So it was a no-brainer. Yeah. But like that, I can look back and see, even on the rare occasion that you might have a jar, if it's not for you, chance going on without it. Yeah. That's one thing that you can, if you possibly can, be curious about putting it down and moving and shaking through life without it. I think it doesn't take too long before, as you said, you realise, you know what, that the colours are more vibrant. Yeah. The feelings are more real. I think there's a security, oddly,
100%,
with trusting your body, trusting yourself, trusting the evening. No matter how this goes, I can very soberly say, thank you very much, I've had a lovely evening. I need to go now and drive myself home. You know, there's a freedom with it.
I was just about to say, freedom. And I think that's it with any kind of, like, at the end of the day, I think we kind of forget that alcohol is a drug too. Do you know what I mean? So no matter whether you're having 2 glasses of wine or 10 glasses of wine, you're still withdrawing from a drug, kind of. Do you know what I mean? So it's an addictive substance too. So I think getting rid of that for a little while and not becoming reliant on it or not having it. And like, I would have been the very same. I would be parched for a glass of wine when I came in, you know, on whatever evening. But mine was kind of opposite because I was always working the weekends. It was, you know, the start of the week, which isn't really ideal, you know. So everybody else is working the 9 to 5 and I'm like, who wants to go out? But yeah, I would definitely encourage people to just try it for a little while and see what happens. Now, if someone was to have said that to me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, definitely I will. And I think in my head, absolutely not a hope. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I loved it so much that I couldn't believe it did take a couple of months now for me to, because I remember after a month I was like, am I supposed to have some kind of epiphany moment that I'm like, oh my God, I can see, you know, colours and hear colours or whatever's supposed to happen. And I'd say it was maybe 2 or 3 months. There was a definite moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Like, and I believe that happiness is an emotion, you know, every emotion is going to pass, but I was more content. I was more level in that, you know, you were just grand.
Yeah.
There was a calmness
Yeah.
to it and a freedom, as you say as well, that you can just come and go as you please and you are who you are.
Yeah, you have a lovely security. The funny thing is, in the beginning, you might take a jar when you're in your teens to take the edge off, as we said earlier, to access that sense of security that you feel there's a dearth of when you're just trying to be, because social anxiety is real for people, particularly nowadays. I think the world is changing. It's even dating is so different. It was really different in our day. I know I'm showing my age, but it really was so different. I mean, there was no such thing as online dating. It's a different world, you know, and therefore, if you're going to have a jar, you might forgive yourself for that. That's all very well, but you will eventually have to work that out. You can't still be, 95 having the little port. Your body wouldn't allow you to. So I think if you possibly can access, I'm sure like me, you probably know lots of older people who seem to have it sussed. They know what brings them joy. And it's like they have this little magic about them. And you think, God, if I only could have had that. If I could have now, when I'm young and I've got youth on my side, if I could have the wisdom they have, and sure, there's a paradox in that. Yeah. But I think it's quite simple. And it is basically just to be grateful for being alive, to be happy in your own skin, to celebrate the small wins. And I think a moment then for the fact that when you put in the substance or the behaviour that isn't good for you, or keep company with people that don't grow you, or stay in relationships that are toxic, you're probably siphoning your own vitality. Yeah. So the one thing, or one of the things you can do, is to just replace the Vino Collapso with blackcurrant juice in a wine glass, if you like. Yeah.
Or go wild with a little Coke Zero.
Or the gin and tonic for just a slimline tonic in a gin glass. Yeah. Please the company around you, get them off your case, look like you're at the party. Exactly. But just not have the hangover and the neggies, those neggies the next day.
Yeah. Oh, is that like the fear of God?
Well, what did I say? What did I do? Lift in the bin to see what did I eat?
That would be...
Looking for the RTE guide to see what did I watch?
It's so true, isn't it? And I would completely agree with that. And I think as well, you don't have to tell people that you're doing it. Like I was shouting it from the rooftops, not because of any reason, as in when I was going to social events, I'd be like, I'm not drinking now, if they asked if I wanted to drink. And then it just became the topic of the night then. And I think people kind of project their own kind of, oh, well, I can not drink as well. And it's like, oh no, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It kind of goes into this whole other... it's like it's your personality trait for the night with people that you don't know. So I've learned now to just...
Stay stum.
Say nothing and get my little sparkling water, slice of lemon and just be happy. And then as well, I think it puts people at ease too, because I was the same. I went on a date with a guy and he wasn't drinking it, and I was nearly trying to force the bottle of wine down his neck because it was my problem. I was like, I can't go wild now because, you're not. So... I look back on that now and I'm like, God, I feel kind of bad. I feel like I should probably reach out to that guy. But yeah, I think you do it for yourself,
Yeah.
and you don't worry about anybody else and what their perspective on the situation is. Because I actually couldn't believe that there was this lovely guy in Colombia. And this was when I really was like, okay, I need to stop telling people that I'm not drinking anymore. But he was gorgeous, 17 foot from New Zealand. And we were getting on so well. Randomly, just him and his friend we're in Colombia, we're in the same hostel. And the friend had met a girl, and then he asked me to go for coffee. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. The four of us went for coffee. And I happened to be going to this, onto the next place. And they basically were like, yeah, we'll come too. That was grand. We all booked it. And next thing, he was like, we were outside having a cigarette, would you believe, back in the day, those were the days. And he said, oh, something about drinking. And I was like, oh, I'm not actually drinking at the moment. It flicked. He lost all interest. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was actually as if I'd said something like outrageous, and that was it then. And then we were stuck. We were still going on to the same place. So it ended up nearly being like I was after jumping on like their plans. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like that. I wasn't expecting something like that to happen. So that's when I was like, okay, this is your thing now.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell anybody. Nobody even notices anyway, like if you don't say it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I would say to people as well, is you don't need to seek approval from other people, about your decisions.
Absolutely. And I don't know why that guy did that on that occasion, but for starters, for you, choice fatigue is out of it when you've made your mind up. It's, when you're dalliancing with the idea for quite a while, there's a little bit of freedom in it. And then what you gain on the swings, you lose on the roundabouts, because you're saying, you might spend a whole week in advance thinking, now, will I drink or will I drive? Will I just say to them that I have to do this the next day? And you exhaust yourself before the event even happens, thinking, will I, won't I? And it's for other people. It's not the inside out happy that we're talking about trying to access. Because when we're in that place, choice fatigue is not in it. We've made a choice. We don't take a jar. End of. We don't have to dress it up for anybody anymore because it isn't for optics. And I wonder, perhaps with that guy, could have been anything. But I know in my own case, people would say to me on occasions, because it's years and years since I had a drink, but people would say, well, you're an alcoholic. Straight out. Because at my age, you see, it's totally different to a young person. But, way back then, like, well, the kids still, some people might have at the time, oh, you're pregnant. It was no, definitely not. Oh, you must be. Oh, no, seriously.
Sure, antibiotics.
You'd hardly not be, it must be something serious.
Yeah.
Are you an alcoholic?
Yeah.
Definitely. Were you ever?
Yeah.
Did you think you were? Is this just in case? Prophylactic. People just can't help themselves but butt in. And it says more about them. The only people that will comment really are people who have an issue with their own drinking. Yeah. And they're actually trying to tap into your wisdom. And they're really asking questions for a friend. It's like they'd love to actually probably jump on surf that same wave with you, be able to do social without a jar. Because it's exhausting in its own way, and it interrupts your sleep. And I'm not being really old-fashioned here, but we need our sleep. It's the elixir of life, and it does interrupt your sleep. So it's better if you can. So if what you're doing and what we're chatting about here helps one or two people, bring it, because it's again, I think it's what you were alluding to earlier, when you do social media content building, or you're public facing like I am in this lovely space, and I feel like the luckiest girl, this sort of paradise to be doing this. So acting is my thing, and this is what I'm doing in the liminal spaces. It just doesn't get any better. But when we can do something here that we intend to, and then in fact does help others, it's a win-win.
It's huge.
There's meaning and purpose in it then. It's not just fun. It's not just what we're doing and what we're getting out of it. If it can genuinely be outward focused, and if it can help one person, it really does have that multifold benefit, like you said.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why I love doing what I do. And that's why I'm enjoying the content creation so much, because it's really making proper connections with people.
Yeah.
all the while like performing and enjoying what you're doing too. So yeah, it's definitely.
That's in your phenotype. I'm the same. Yeah, there are people who are, born to act and have fun and forced to work. And then, so obviously if they can get away, like seriously. So if they can get away with doing this full time, they will.
Yeah.
So listen, what's next? We're going to have to wrap this very soon because James is going to come with the big bottom more. What's next for Doireann?
God only knows, Sheila. Like, I genuinely am just going with the flow, and I'm hoping that things are just going to present themselves and opportunities will present themselves, hopefully. And like that it has up until now. So I'm really just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And I'm ready. I'm like, I'll do anything for cash, Sheila.
Yeah, cold hard cash. I heard that. But seriously though, when you say ready for what though? Are you because this could be that somebody? Is it a casting director you're hoping will listen to this, or is it what is the next dream as such? What would you like that to look like?
That is such a great question, and I genuinely I don't know anymore what the dream is. Like, I always wanted to be a Spice Girl. Like, that was the dream, and now I've had to. I feel like Victoria Beckham might not go back into them, so there might be an opening there, would never know, but I might have to change it up a little bit. I think it's to be content, kind of, to be successful in something that I am happy doing. I would love to, I hope to start a podcast. That's the actual kind of next plan. So it's just getting my ducks into a row and figuring that out. But yeah, and to be your own boss a little bit. I'm really enjoying being in control of my own destiny in some shape or form, but at the same time, I'm like, if someone rings me to go to America in the morning, I'm there. Like, I genuinely feel like the world is our oyster and it's such a small place, and I'm ready for anything. So if you want to run away, Sheila, I'm down. And your son can come too.
Love it. I absolutely love it. I could chat with you from now till the cows come home.
Same. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're amazing. You are. It's intoxicating to watch you. It's fun. It's got real value though for me. I'm watching it from the point of view of admiring what you do as well. You're easy to watch. You're easy on the eye, but you're gorgeous. You've got a generosity of spirit that I see. I think particularly through the family content. I'm loving that. And again, moment from mum and dad, they're absolutely phenomenal. I love them. I think they're great. And the sister and brothers that I haven't met, but you speak so highly of them. In my opinion, that is your lottery. And from that start point and launch pad, you will get into your world. You'll draw and attract into your world everything that you need. Because I think when you're reaching from a point of view of love and from a vantage point of love, you get love back in all of its shapes and forms. So I wish you health and happiness. May time expand for gorgeous you. And let's get together. I might join you on some of those events now. I might do some of the psychotherapy work from the stage.
I love it. Yes. Oh my God, that'd be brilliant. We're going to take over the world, Sheila.
Let's do it. Hollywood, watch out.
We're ready.
Doireann O'Connor, Maigat.
Thank you so much, Sheila. You're a doll in every which way.
Likewise. And there you have it. From the girl who couldn't wait to escape school, to the woman who now moves through life with creativity, curiosity, and a fierce commitment to self-growth. Doireann O'Connor reminds us that the scenic route is often the most truthful one. She stepped out of a relationship that wasn't nourishing her, and instead of scrambling for the next distraction, she chose something braver. She chose space, stillness, solitude. She travelled. She listened. She learned the difference between being alone and being lonely, and she rediscovered the pure value of her own company. She's building something absolutely phenomenal now. It's not just content, it's community. From the tractor in the yard, the fetching attire on her stunning physique, her dad popping up like an A-rated supporting character in many of her videos, her beloved mum on road trips and sponsored spa breaks. Doireann is generous of spirit. She's fiercely proud of and loyal to her totally supportive family. She's gentle, but she's not a pushover. She's soft where it matters, and she is solid where it counts. And here's the piece that really landed for me. People do come to relationships with owner's manuals. It mightn't be printed. It's not necessarily obvious, but it is written into their behaviour. It's in their bids for connection. It's in how they repair a rupture, in their attachment style, how they speak or avoid communication, how they reach out or retreat. And it is our responsibility in any relationship to learn how to read that manual. RTFM. Sometimes it teaches us how to love someone better. And sometimes it tells us clearly that this person is not necessarily compatible with us. No blame, just information. Consider this. Relationships run on data. Connection runs on interpretation. And how about this one? Love runs on choice. So guys, your task for this week. Just take a breath. Check in with yourself. Not your relationship status, not your timeline, just you. Ask yourself these questions. What am I broadcasting? What do I have to do to dial into a different frequency that grows me? Where in my life is what I'm broadcasting being sent right back to me as a match? Because everything that I bring into my world, my tone, my expectations, my boundaries, my beliefs, it's all energy. Humans are transmitters constantly. Through our words, our choices, our reactions, our silences. What you broadcast becomes what you attract. Sympathetic resonance. And here's the chain that governs all of it. Your words are shaping your thoughts. Your thoughts are shaping your emotions. Your emotions are shaping your beliefs. And your beliefs are shaping your behaviour. Your behaviour then shapes your reality. So if you want a different reality, begin at the start of the chain. Your words are your wand. Your self-talk, your inner script. If you're in a relationship that is struggling, don't automatically catastrophize. The work begins with you. That's the good news. You're in charge. When you change the way you speak to yourself, you change how you think. And when you change how you think, you change how you feel. How you feel reshapes what you believe you deserve. And once that shifts, your broadcast shifts with it. So, maybe that could lead to repairing a rupture. Maybe it could lead to setting firmer boundaries. Maybe it could lead to uncoupling, but with clarity instead of chaos. If it is repairable, repair it. Respond to bids for connection. And if your own bids are going to be ignored over and over again, take it as data. Use that data. Even emotional flooding is information. Don't abandon yourself. So your task this week is simple, but it is brave. Turn your dial to a frequency that honours the essence of optimal you and broadcast only what you want to be reflected back. And so it is.